Hey, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
I love our new intro. Where'd you go?
Oh, I had to close the door. It was wide open, and I meant to close the window behind me. But yeah, I was so excited about the new intro. It turned out okay.
We're just grown people now with a super cool intro. Like, we're big kids now.
Yeah, we're gonna be famous.
Famous. Take that. Whoever.
Oh. So I don't know who's going to join us today.
That's okay.
I know Siren wouldn't be able to join us today. She has prior commitments. Mm-hmm. And I haven't heard back from Mark, so it's going to be just the two of us possibly.
I mean, they're already big and total awesome people in their own right, but we're committed. So
that's what I'm talking about. So what's new in your world, by the way?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to begin. Every time you ask me that, I don't know what to say because I don't know how to internalize it or conceptualize it or say words that make sense.
Gotcha.
So, but a lot of it is good. It's just a lot of different things, you're constantly pulled in different directions and just working and seeing what happens, like throwing that proverbial spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks.
Gotcha. Yeah, the fun times. I completely understand, though. I completely understand.
Yeah.
For example, today after this show at 6:30, I have to do another show, or I have to do a fundraiser tonight.
Oh my.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the warm up. I've got to make sure that everything is aligned because I've got to run all the production for that. It's for a nonprofit called Urban Ministries of Durham. Yep. I don't know if you've heard of them, if they have them there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Durham, I guess, chapter or part of it. And they're having their big empty bowls function tonight. They normally have it in person, and it's a big, huge fundraiser for them. Of course, since they can't have it in person now, they have to do it all virtual. I keep saying for some reason, but so I've helped them for the prior 10 years or so. And they asked for me to help them with this virtual side of things since, of course, helping out with not only this show, but also the streaming. So tonight will be a virtual Urban Ministries Empty Bowls fundraiser.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, so I will tell you, I have a podcast interview making its debut tomorrow with Ashley Marie. She's a super awesome female empowerment, like women coach for women. Oh, cool. And I love it. And she's amazing. And so it's just a conversation between two ladies. And today after this, I have a podcast episode taping, I guess, to do. And so just always talking to people and like making sure Henry is properly, I guess, taken outside and loved in between sessions, or else he just ends up being like your velociraptor. Just like, okay, I need attention.
Oh, I completely understand. I have visitors all the time.
You're like, I gotta lock the door or else he'll come in.
Well, today I've got help. I've got Granddad pop through. So Granddad is helping out, keeping people entertained. So
shout out to Granddad.
Yeah. And so, for example, today I might be able to do some virtual reality stuff. That's fun. That's fun. You've got to get the VR stuff.
You're just on it today. You just are.
Well,
You
you know,
need
we're
to
trying
like do your thing. Granddad in the house.
Yeah,
You're
see, you
doing
know,
a fundraiser.
trying to make things bigger, trying to grow things. So
Yes.
slowly but surely, it's going to be big time.
Yes.
I even started what is it? I created a commercial, well, not really a commercial, but a sketch that can run in between the show to do the news for us.
Whoa.
See,
What
going
kind of
big
news?
time. Going big time with this stuff.
What kind of news?
Well, it's just the news of, for example, there are tons of things that happens in the gaming industry, and we never there's not enough time in the day. It's like politics and everything else.
Yeah.
There's just things happening all the time. So I created a kind of a commercial or a sketch of just the few things that are happening in the news just recently in the gaming world. That's it.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
So I'm gonna try and make more of them, but it just takes a little time. I just got to get a skeleton of it, and then I can plug and play, have it happening. Well, at least create 2 or 3 of them. So we'll have in the span of the 2 hours that we're on, like 2 or 3 breaks. Yeah, see, trying to make things easier and cool.
So maybe we can like scarf snacks in between.
Yeah.
I was like eating with both hands right before it all happened.
Oh, I went simple. I did pizza. I ordered pizza for everybody. I was not cooking. I was not doing anything. It was just straight pizza.
Protein, fats, carbs, and depending on the type of pizza, veggies.
I went fat guy fun. I'm just eating. That's what I did today. It was cheese, pepperoni, mushroom.
Yeah. Protein,
Garlic butter on top.
Carbs, non-starchy veggies. You had a balanced meal today.
Yes. And
was
evidently
it quality? No. It was balanced.
According to the government, in pizza or tomato, because of the tomato sauce considered a vegetable. I think that was one of the bills or something that got passed years ago. It was some crazy bill talking about how pizza's healthy.
And this is why we're all screwed up, kids.
Yes. This is exactly
it. I don't love it in that regard, but I love talking to people about just where their minds are in terms of food and how much of it is, well, it's there, and some of this stuff like perpetuates just like memories, because of the olfactory senses and like all this stuff, right? So like food is more than just food. It's like your identity. And so I love just talking to people about that. And it's just, it's my favorite thing.
Jeff Goldblum did the Goldblum. I forget the name of the show on Disney Plus that he does, but it relates. Yeah. He did an episode on ice cream. And that is exactly what he was talking about how ice cream brings up so many memories of your past, from your grandparents to where you were when you first smelled that vanilla ice cream coming off of the scoop, to where you tasted maybe that ice cream cone. And they have a huge ice cream food truck rodeo in Vegas, I think it is, that he pointed out. But yeah, he did a whole episode on that, and it was an amazing thing,
actually. And Jeff Goldblum, if you're watching, I've loved you since I was 8. And yes. So
Jeff is one of my
always thought he was just an amazing man, and he's good looking, but he's also nerdy. And if you're a nerd and you're cute, oh my goodness, I just have the most respect for you.
He's a cool,
and you're cute. Oh,
he seems like he'd be a really, really cool dude to hang out with too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
put the water on the hand and see which way it runs down from Jurassic Park. Oh, but funny thing is, if you think about it, that actually relates to gaming in the same way. Because think about the games that you played when you were young. A lot of those games are making those same comebacks being reinvented or being re-released.
Yes, nothing is original anymore.
There are a few, I'll give them that. There are a few, but like Mario and stuff like that, I mean, that came out in the 80s.
But it ties into people's nostalgia. And
you got it.
Yes, guys. Today's topic, nostalgia.
Yeah, see how it's kind of neat how everything ties together. Even though we're talking about ice cream and food, it's still the same thing in video games. That nostalgic feeling that you get when you, for example, if you're playing a football game, Madden has been around for roughly about since the 90s, early 90s. And when you play Madden now, you think about, if you're older, of course, you think about those old retro days of playing Madden when you first started, sitting in the room with your buddies and how you first got that cartridge and had to blow it out because it didn't work the first time. And you're sitting there playing and you got next, or you just lost, or you just won, and just watching the room rotate.
Here's the nostalgia for you. Every time that you or Siren talk about that cartridge and taking it out and blowing out the cartridge, I have this visual, and I can almost feel the puff of air that comes back up into my face. Like a dog, like you're blowing into the face and he's like, what?
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah, nostalgia.
That's it. That's the beauty, I think, of video games. And I think that's what gets lost as some people get older and feel they grow out of the video game era phase. They feel that it's just kids playing it, but they don't realize that they grew up in the same time. And I like to relate it to Footloose, how dancing changed. And people used to look at dancing and music as the devil's worship and all this other stuff. That's back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, even the 80s and the 90s and on. It's just when you're a kid or your parents see it differently than you see it. And now you're seeing it different than your child sees it. So it's just weird looking at how that nostalgia gets lost. Well, that feeling gets lost. And then just somehow just something snaps you back and you're able to see it. It's weird. It's just
or unless you live in a small town and that's just how life is anyways. And you're like,
true.
Okay, this is why I left. You're awesome. You just non-dancing. Thank
you. So in your line of work, how many people do you come across that, I guess, fight that feeling?
Oh my gosh, every single one of us, literally. Everyone I talk to, it's like, I'm so conflicted.
How are you able to coach them past that big conflict, that inner turmoil?
You just talk to them about it. You normalize it. If you make it not so scary, it's not scary. And then you can conquer the beast. I mean, sometimes when so our brain is programmed to think of anything stressful as a bear. So if you are worried about packing on some extra pounds because of a family get together or whatever, it's the same as a bear. And like you're trying to run away from it. It like doesn't see anything different. And sometimes in some instances, like the pure joy of something can feel like sometimes we can react the same way to pure joy as something we're terrified of. Like, okay, so this is kind of a hilarious example, but like even me recently, I was in the grocery store and there was this guy who was looking for something, and he had this accent, and it was a very nice accent, and he wanted to know where something was. But I didn't know what it was, and he could tell that I didn't know what he was saying because he was saying the word in a different language. So we got out our phones, he typed it, and his letters went from right to left. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And turns out he speaks Hebrew. So he pulled up on Google he typed it up, and then he went to images and he's like this, and I'm like chickpeas, and he said chickpeas. So it was like a Rosetta Stone kind of experience.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
So then, yeah, it was really cool. Hey, Markley.
How's it going, folks? Everybody's in the house.
So then I was like, oh, well, I have two versions of that for you. And like they're here and here. And then afterwards, like I just felt embarrassed because I was just like all owning just helping this guy. So then I'm like, hey, and then I walk away. But like it wasn't anything other than I was just helping him. And I was like, hey, and then I walked away. And
I like that.
but sometimes when we get like super proud of ourselves, we're like, oh, like I'm not supposed to be cool like that. And like I'm just gonna walk away. So sometimes we deprive ourselves of the good moments too. So like recognizing that within ourselves and being like, hey, how do I respond to things when I'm confident? And like what are the emotional and mental shifts of when I am confident? Like it's because I don't feel a power shift, right? Or I don't feel like nervous. It's just habit, right? So the more we engage in like the good things and acknowledge the bad things, such as, oh my gosh, I can't stop eating Oreos every day. You know, the more we normalize that and the good behaviors, the better we can just neutralize it all and strive towards the good habits.
Now here's the big thing though. There's that balance between confidence and ego.
Oh yeah.
And then that plagues sports, that plagues esports big time, because in esports you have that anonymity when you're playing online, and then you can be this giant keyboard warrior and talk junk and be toxic and everything else.
Because it's a power play, you're taking your insecurities out on someone else in reverse. It's like when I take Henry to the dog park and he's trying to pounce on the guy who's like weaker than him. You know, Henry's a dog, by the way. But yeah, like, he's like, oh, little boy dog.
Picturing this giant dude.
And so it's this the same thing is you're trying to feel better because you feel like, oh, if I don't like make myself big, I'm going to be the one to be eaten.
Okay. Is there a way, because again, that's that struggle in esports, especially anything online, truthfully, and sports as well. How can one battle that? Because that's back to that inner conflict, that inner turmoil, where you want to sound confident and you want to sound excited about doing the good, but then you cross that line. How do you battle that line?
Like support in terms of feedback and also just normalization. You know, sometimes if I'm doing something new and I'm working with a group of people, I'll be like, hey, if I'm not speaking up enough, or if I'm speaking up too much and I'm just coming across like an asshole, tell me. So I know. Because this is new, I'm excited, and you know, I'm acknowledging that maybe I'm not confident. I'm just super excited, and so just tell me. And you know, and also just again, normalization. The more you do it, the more you, and of course, like you have to want to be able to kind of normalize it and gauge it. Like if you think that the way to live and the way to be is to have a big ego, then you're going to do it. If you think the way to live and exist is to make yourself small, you're going to do it. But if you want to strive for more, then get a normalize what that looks like to you. And you're not going to get it right all the time, or especially at first. But the more you want to do it, the more you will do it because you want to do it.
Okay.
Wait a minute, you're not going to get it right all the time? I thought that you got it right all the time because Jacoby gets it right all the time. Jacoby is the master of getting it right all the time.
No, Mark's nickname is Ike. I know everything. So
far from it. I do not know everything.
I was thinking of the Ike. Like I was I didn't really think that he was that way.
That's
I'm
Mark.
trying to make a joke because but usually when I hear that word, I just think of that.
Gotcha.
So I know everything. You are an encyclopedia.
Oh, not me. Not at all. Not
that is Mark all day.
No, I've watched Jacoby's Facebook feeds. I know that Jacoby knows quite a bit more than I do, and he loves to get into all kinds of debates and conversations and everything else. So that's the man that knows it all.
Listen to Toby. Hi, I'm just gonna leave this nugget of information here and see who fights me on it.
No, I like to drop the bomb and leave.
Drop the informational nugget of information out there, and he's like, I'm gone. I've dropped the mic, and I'm out of here.
Yeah. Which one of you likes peanut butter or jelly? You can only choose one.
I can only choose one? Peanut butter.
That's exactly it.
Yep. That is exactly how he does it.
This is my personal Facebook experience. Like, I don't even say anything. I'm just like,
out, gone, had enough. Drifting off and everything else. Yeah, that's the way some folks do it. But no, I know that Jacoby loves having these Facebook conversations. Actually, your favorite topic came up on my show yesterday, Jacoby.
Oh, which one?
Gamification.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes, I had a gentleman on yesterday. Kara knows this because I had actually mentioned it to her and everything about this, but I had a gentleman in who is a physical fitness trainer, and he was talking about how gamification plays a big part in training and in physical exercise and in just the whole physical fitness world. So he was talking about that could be a good thing or a bad thing, because he was also adding how sometimes that's a way to keep his clients motivated, to get them involved in kind of some gamification kind of things.
Gotcha. I mean, there's some great physical fitness stuff with gaming now. With the VR stuff, it's phenomenal. I mean, there's a game that on the Oculus or the Oculus Quest 2, which I play every once in a while. Well, not really once in a while. I try and do it at least 3 or 4 times a week. But it's called Fit XR, I think it is. And it is no more than just an exercise game. I mean, it's not really. I'm doing boxing, not kickboxing, but I forget what the exercise is called. But yes, it's a great workout. They have it set to where you go from either 3 minutes on up to maybe even 20 minutes. I've done 10 minutes and it's killing me. I mean, it really, really works you. You're punching and sweating and having to duck and dodge. So yeah. VR stuff right now is great for exercise.
It seems to be great for everything, because I was actually earlier this morning, this morning, it wasn't this afternoon, was on a friend of IBM TV's family and everything, but Sharif has his own thing that he does out of Malaysia. I'm not sure because I haven't seen him on IBM TV recently, but I know he's got this world class forum or world economy forum that he does and all of that. So I was on his show earlier this afternoon, and it was all about consumption and consumerism and all of that from around the world. Again, mostly United States guests. I think one was from Colorado, somebody else from San Francisco. I forgot where the person was from, and then myself, and then Sharif out of Malaysia. But the whole conversation was around consumption and consumerism, and VR in the new way that it's being used came up quite a bit in the conversation. So they were talking about everything from how it's being used in the music industry to how it's being used in the food and gig economy to even a whole debate. And I do mean it was a debate. Jacoby, I needed you in the middle of this debate because one of the guys was of the opinion that inflation does not exist, and that that prices are all right, and that the poverty is overblown, and all of this. And there was another gentleman who was probably closer, like in that whole 30 to 40 age range and everything, and he's actually thinking that we need to have, which actually I could kind of agree with, a universal income. So he was actually arguing the universal income, but you know that Mr. Inflation doesn't exist did not necessarily like the idea of universal income. So like I said, it was a very interesting debate. And like I said, they were sitting there going at each other. I think Sharif lost control there for a minute since he was the moderator, and he had to like rein them in toward the end of it.
So, I mean, inflation doesn't exist, but yet you could have purchased a Snickers bar for roughly about a quarter only 10 years ago, but now it's $1.25.
Yeah, this same guy claimed that he's bought he was claiming that he bought groceries at like Whole Foods or one of them places, and that he's been buying this same I forgot what his item was. It might have been a baguette, or it might have been something like that, and the price had been the same the entire time. And I'm sitting there going like, I know eggs have gone up and down, I know bread has gone up and down, so I don't know what fantasy world you're living in where the price is the same it is now as it was some 5 or 10 years ago.
Apparently in a world where like baguettes are his go-to item.
He's in a world where his economic theory is based on buying baguettes.
Yeah. I mean, not toilet paper, not eggs,
no.
Baguettes.
Yeah.
How old is Mr. No Inflation?
You should have called me, Mark. I would have.
Apparently he's a regular on Sharif's show, so I may be having Sharif invite both of you to take this guy down. Like I said, apparently he's a regular on this guy's show that goes on every Thursday morning at around 10 o'clock. So I might be inviting both of y'all to come on next time.
Inflation is, he could even come on the game. He could come on this show because inflation itself happens in the video game industry on a regular basis.
All the time.
I mean, and then so the idea of a universal currency, that's been around. We talked a little bit about that before, but that's been an idea. That cryptocurrency, that Bitcoin, that whole idea, that's all
not so much a universal currency. I mean, that's definitely something that's part of it. But this gentleman, the other gentleman who I think was out of Colorado and admits that he's somewhat of a libertarian, was talking about like a universal income. So like we all get paid the same amount of money no matter what your job is. So it's not even so much a universal currency as it would be like a universal income, kind of the stimulus check, but the stimulus check comes every week and you all get paid the same amount. So
there's the theory of a universal income that for one of why did I forget his name right now? One of the presidential candidates, he's now running for governor of New York. I cannot remember his name right now. He talked about $1,000 universal income, which the idea is fine, but the universal income itself cannot be your universal pay. If he's talking about a universal pay rate where everybody itself is being paid the same exact thing, that's nuts. But a universal income, that's a different story because you can actually, based on the actual population and the amount of money that's being brought in, especially if you, because taxes truthfully are, yes, a redistribution, but people tend to think that taxes being cut and all this other stuff, you're still redistributing the money, or redistributing the money, but it's going to a particular income set that is actually already set with that income. I mean, they're getting their money. So taxes help, and taxes are important. People don't understand the concept of what taxes pay for, and they talk about this a la carte tax and all this other stuff. But a universal income, that's, I digress on that. But a universal income can be made out of those taxes by, instead of paying for a jet that cannot fly in the rain, you can pay everybody a particular amount of money every month. I mean, it's just simple mathematics. Same, and the amount of money that we spend on military and all this other extra stuff, that can be funneled back into schools and increase teacher wages, funnel back into medicine and actually make our medicine, because we need a universal healthcare system. But if we make if we pay for our medicine right, and then we increase the pay of nurses, doctors, and so on and so forth, and all this other stuff. Yeah, I can go on for days with all this.
Health education. Ugh. Also, the presidential candidate was Andrew Yang.
Yes, I could not remember his name for the world, but yes. Yeah, I mean, we can do a universal income, and it would actually lift a ton of people out of poverty with a universal income system. It would also.
The other idea that this same guy got, it was a little bit more sane than the one that had the whole inflation doesn't exist idea came across, which I think could also be really good if folks would do it. I just don't know that corporations would do it. Is, as both of you know, I live in an apartment complex. Zach lives, and the guy that does our punk show lives in the same complex. But there are a bunch of empty buildings here, and we still got homeless people in Durham as well. So one of the things that one of the gentlemen was saying, I think it was the one that was the libertarian, was that we need to find a way to get our apartment complexes to actually put up the people that are homeless, because there's actually enough space for everybody to have a home, and actually a decent home, because there are a lot of empty spaces everywhere. I imagine there's even some in Ohio. I know there's some definitely here in Durham, North Carolina, and all over the place. So we could actually put people up in those places. So what do folks think of that idea?
So that's a beautiful idea, because, for example, I'm trying to remember there was some city that was their malls and their other big facilities were being restructured to fit in some of the homeless, because the reason the homeless aren't actually being taken care of is because, I mean, there are a myriad of reasons. It all boils down to money. If they don't make money, they're not going to take care of them. And that's the sad reality. You do a universal income. Hey, guess what? You got money for a lot of the homeless individuals, and that can help. And people would finally take notice instead of just walking over a homeless individual. They need help just as much as anybody else does. And it's just a matter of, we got to figure out ways to help instead of ignoring them and leaving them on the street to pretty much die. And that's not the way we should be living.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, if you're homeless and on the street, you are going to some other things to survive. If you can't get that, you are more prone to commit a crime to get that stuff. So maybe just casual shoplifts or whatever to get food. I'm not saying that always happens. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. Or unfortunately, you are profiled to be someone who someone thinks is shoplifting. So then you're carted off to jail, and then the city makes money that way. But if you take care of your own people and get them in housing, and they are able to take care of themselves and then get a job, wouldn't you think that stimulates the economy too? But no. And yes, I went there, but it's just frustrating, because we are having this issue in my city right now, and I'm very angry about it. A lot of people are. It's like this complex thing where this affordable housing unit is being built. It was okay to be built, And the affordable housing like studio, $1,400 a month. I can't.
But that's affordable, right?
I can't afford that. And that's affordable housing. And it's just so frustrating because like people can reject the charter amendment for $50 million to help people get them housing. Homeless people with in a lower income bracket. And that's not passed, but they'll pass the $150 police budget because they still need guns and they still need things.
And that's where
to not really help. And I'm not saying that, it's just sad. Like if we can just take care of our people, then that'll stimulate the economy.
Think about how crazy this is. People fight tooth and nail. There are people that are out there that fight tooth and nail. We are a Christian nation. Truthfully, we are a non-denomination nation. We were never founded on a religion. Yeah. The founders were run out of their area because they were running away from religious persecution. So the actual nation itself is not a religious nation or a Christian nation. People forget that. But those same people that are fighting tooth and nail for that talk about we're a Christian nation. We love Jesus. But you know what? I don't want to take care of the homeless. What do you think Jesus did? That's your whole point.
Jesus wasn't like, you look suspicious.
No.
Let me cart you away.
And that
you look suspicious. Let me let you starve.
Yeah. And our whole I hate to point out that crazy nutcase who just left the White House, but there's that the GOP right now are all jumped on this dude and will ride him to the end and worshiping him like an idol. They made a golden statue of the man. In the Bible, they talked about you don't worship false idols. You don't worship all this stuff. What are they doing? Worshiping this dude. But I digress on that point because I'm not super into religion, but I do know about it. But to get back to the point of our priorities are where our money goes. And our money goes to the defense, what you were talking about. They need more guns. That's where we spend our money, which is nuts. When if we didn't spend all that money towards guns, we could have a lot more homeless off the street and take care of those individuals. There are tons of kids that are going starving. We don't care about those kids because they're not making money. There are tons of women and mothers going starving. We don't care about those individuals because they're not making money. And that's the problem with our society today, is that it's about the dollar.
It's about the dollar, but I did hear of that same gentleman, the libertarian gentleman. He did come up with a new acronym that I love. I think I'm going to use it more and more often and everything. I've been doing some of my work in my job. I know that you definitely got your job that you do outside of what we're doing here on IBM TV. Cara is definitely going regularly over there to the grocery store and everything. So his new acronym for job, and I love it, is called Just Above Broke.
Well, in all honesty, that's what a job is, because we teach people to work a job. We send kids to school on particular times to work a job. We don't teach kids how to work a career. We don't talk about a career because that's completely different. We talk about making money, but not how you can make the money make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Those rich individuals know how, the upper class and all these that are on the top shelf, they know how to, the venture capitalists, they can make money, but
because they have the resources for the schools, good schools, and they have the resources for the community support, for that support to say, yeah, this is the kind of success that we have. And so you have it too because of the resources and the opportunities. So when you have more urban areas or more rural areas, you don't have that. And you think like, this is where I grew up. This is what I'm going to know. And this is my destiny. And it's just sad and it's terrifying because it leaves the communities up to at least it's up to the communities to raise everyone and protect our own people, like our own community. And it's like we're not being supported, and it's so sad. Like communities aren't supported like they need to be.
Not at all. And here's the crazy part. And this is why I like the Gamers Den, and why we talk about all this stuff on the Gamers Den, is because it is relatable to video games and society itself. The gaming community, the gaming world is the world, just virtual.
Right.
Yeah.
If you take, for instance, we're talking about how life itself, the rich get richer and all this other stuff. In the gaming industry, if you're playing a game and, for example, the loot boxes, all this other stuff, those are pay to play schemes. Well, you know what's happening in society? In society, it's a pay to play. If you got the money, you're going to get better regardless. And that's the same thing in the gaming world. And it's the same thing. I mean, if you've got, you know, if you're a rich individual, or if you're well off, there's nothing wrong with having all this money. But if you're well off, you know what? Your kids have more opportunities than the kids that don't. And
there is exposure too, which is good, that when there are kids exposed to games, there could be, you know, kids who are like, hey, my mind works this way. And I am very tactile and think that way. And I'm sure that gaming is an avenue for young women or young girls to want to go into more STEM fields. So that's an avenue.
Yep, gaming is a great avenue. It is a great avenue. But again, it runs parallel to society because it's being a virtual world. Those same avenues, for example, those same problems that women run into in real world, they run into in the virtual world. It just gets magnified because you have the anonymity that's there. The same issues that minorities run into, Black people run into, the same issues that they run into in the virtual world. And that deals in programming, jobs, and everything else. I mean, it's just the way our society is. And getting back to the whole economic issue, you know, that $1,000 or just having a job and stuff like that. I mean, if we could fix it in society, gaming is trying to help because they are now becoming more diverse in the gaming world. But it can only do so much. It really can't. If you think about how people, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how that nostalgia and everything else. We love Mario. Mario's phenomenal, but Mario's only one game. Learn about the other games, how you learned about Mario. And when you see the other games in the same light as Mario, the same way your kids are seeing how you saw Mario, we can understand and teach kids that Mario had tips and tricks in there and you learned how to do them. And it got you to anticipate things differently and see things differently. Once you figured out there was a mysterious world that you could go to in Mario, going up really high and just walking across that plane and going to the extra hidden place, you did that in every game. You found it and you started looking for things. And in Fortnite, for example, you learn how to build things differently. So yeah, you know, it relates back to games in different ways. But yes.
Yeah, but with Mario, I just hated that barrel. That barrel got me every time. Those ladders got me every time. Like I said, those barrels would get me every time on that Mario game.
Oh, I really want to play Mario again now.
Mario's such a good game.
That's my mission.
No, Mario was fun. I like Mario. I like trying to jump over for a barrel and some of the other obstacles that they gave you. It was fun trying to climb up that ladder and get to Mario.
The cool part about it is that there are so many side scrollers, because that's what type of game that was, is just a side scroller. There's so many side scrollers that are so phenomenal right now that people don't take an opportunity to play because they forget about, well, I fell in love with Mario. but I just don't want to play no more. That game stuff is for kids. Well, you could fall in love with a ton of games that are out there right now that are very reminiscent of Mario and do similar things that Mario did. It's just a side scroller. It didn't really tell a story. I mean, but now you have games that really just tell you a story and loop you in like you're watching a movie. So
I like Spyro. Spyro was on.
Spyro is cool. PlayStation.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was PlayStation. Yeah, Spyro was pretty cool.
Spyro the Dragon.
Storyline, I think, just a little wet.
It was such a cool game.
What are some of the other side scroller games, Jacoby? Like I said, you're talking about side scrollers, getting back to conversations, but what are some other side scroller games?
I mean, what is a side scroller for those like me who don't know?
So a side scroller is trying to think of an easy way to describe it. If you take you have a flat background, it can be 3D or whatever, but you're just on one plane going across the screen. So if you take this marker, if the marker goes from left to right, it's just going that way as the screen itself scrolls sideways, either scrolls left or scrolls right. So it's not going into the screen. It's just you have a character walking on a 2D plane that's going
like Street Fighter.
Well, Street Fighter technically wouldn't be a scroller because the screen doesn't move. It's stagnant. So the screen has to scroll across. Think of it like a movie reel. Somebody points out another Jahan jumped on and he said he just pointed out his way of describing it is a 2D adventure, which yes, I mean, so if the screen is stagnant, then it's not scrolling. But if the screen is scrolling and that character is going left to right all the way across, it's an adventure style. Yeah. So that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
So there are tons of them out there. Like Mission to Ziglatone is actually pretty fun. It's a 2D side scroller. You are just going to find your crashed spaceship, and that's all you're doing.
So would Among Us be a side scroller or a scroller?
Among Us is not a side scroller per se, but it is it's a mystery game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Google says like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the game, and also like Donkey Kong Country.
Yep. Oh, I used to love that game too. Yes, I used to remember that one. That was fun.
Others, but yeah. Huh.
Divisible.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh, I mean, there's like I'll put some on the screen. I'll do some side scrollers today. I've got a few on here that I can show, like the Mission to Ziglatone, which is fun.
Let's do that.
Beats is actually a side scroller.
Neon Beats is a side scroller? I did not realize that.
Yep, Neon Beats is a side scroller. It's actually I don't know if you downloaded it. It's fun. It is very, very fun.
I have not downloaded it yet, but it is on my list of things to download.
Let me see if I can. Ghosts and Ghouls, which is or Ghouls and Ghosts, which is an older game. Jahan again points out Divisible. I haven't played Divisible, but he recommends that one. But yeah, Mark, you missed it. We talked about it earlier, but we can take a quick second because we can do today's news. I can run the new video.
Okay, let's do that.
Here's the news that I found today.
Report new Nintendo Switch with 4K output, OLED screen will release before Christmas. Bloomberg's report says production on the new screens will commence in June, with the displays slated for shipment to assemblers around July, meaning this new model would be ready in time for the holidays.
Okay!
Pyra and Mithra join Super Smash Bros. Ultimate later today. 4 other Mii Fighter outfits are getting added as well. 3 are from Monster Hunter in preparation for the release of Monster Hunter Rise. A 4th is Arthur from Ghosts in Goblins.
Activision Blizzard hires Bush-era torture apologist as chief compliance officer. Activision Blizzard announced yesterday that Francis F. Townsend, a former George W. Bush-era counterterrorism appointee and torture apologist, would become its new head of compliance. In charge of making sure the company doesn't run afoul of the varying laws and regulations throughout all of the countries the Call of Duty maker does business in.
Bruh.
Man charged, banned from FIFA, after sending racist DMs to actual, legendary player. Last May, Irish teenager Patrick O'Brien was playing a game of FIFA, and one of the players he was controlling was Arsenal and England legend Ian Wright. O'Brien lost that match, and so decided to jump into Wright's DMs, and send a succession of disgustingly racist attacks.
Stupid idiot! See, I
love it. How did you make that? What tool did you use to make that?
I noticed you, Toby. Sorry, I noticed this. Little John.
Yep, I had to put it in there.
Okay.
That was for you.
Yes. I feel you know how to make a person feel so special. You
But yeah, so I'm trying to make more. I'm gonna have it on a regular Thursday. I'm gonna try and at least have 2 of them. I only did 1 this week because I wanted to make sure it would go okay. But yeah, I want to try and have 2 each week.
Cool. What tool did you use to make it? I know that there's Placeit and there are a couple of others that are able to make those little video clips and everything. So which tool did you use to make that one?
Oh, I use Premiere. Adobe Premiere, yeah. I grabbed, well, of course, I use Photoshop to do some other stuff to it. But yeah, found some stock photos, found some emojis, created a little speech box and Photoshop, edited the photos a little bit, and then, yeah, used Premiere to throw them together real quick. Then did the music in the background was an Apple loop that I created. So, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, you can do that with a couple of things. I actually stayed up late night. I think it was either last Thursday or last Wednesday making one of those for the online dinner party because I found one of those platforms where you can get some stock songs and some stock videos and stock pictures, and you can just have way too much fun. So I was having a Jacoby moment. I looked at the clock and it said it was like 3:30 a.m. and I'm like, I think I'm supposed to be asleep. Oh well, I'm still having fun.
So yeah, I had for the music part though, because once they started shutting down different, YouTube stations and Facebook and all this other stuff and Twitch. I think it was BMG. No, one of the music producers. They started going after people so they can't use their music anymore in different streams, or you get muted or something bad. Something happens. Some people got kicked off of Twitch for it. So yeah, I had to start using the Apple loops and learn how to make kind of music, like the intro song for the old intro song and even this intro song. I had to create a song, and then I had to create a song for that one as well. So yeah, that's been my fun trying to get things going.
I'm learning.
Well, that was a good one. I love the news clip.
So that I could do that one day.
See, I'm just trying to be like you, Kara. That's my goal.
I'm just trying to be like everyone else.
Of course, I think we're really all just trying to be like Mark.
No, everybody's trying to be like Kara. Y'all were right the first time. Everybody's trying to be like Kara. Nobody's trying to be like me. Nobody wants to have my headaches in my world, but everybody's trying to be like Kara and to just have this very wonderful attitude and all of that. I tell you, we're not trying to be like, because apparently she got in trouble all the way over there in London for bullying people. So I'm wondering whether y'all think that this might be an example of the infamous cancel culture. But I just read recently that Meghan Markle has been accused of bullying her staff, and apparently the Queen is not too pleased.
Bullying her staff?
Yep.
I don't know. I think that okay, so she's an American, and then so they've been in the US for a long time anyways, but if you have what one person, I guess UK could consider bullying maybe isn't here, and I just think people need to lay off of that, because what one's interpretation and what one really actually means, like, it just takes some emotional intelligence to be like, hey, did you actually mean it this way or whatever. So I just think it's like sad to that there's this gossip type of news around people, especially royals or former royals or anyone in the public spotlight. Like, just, I don't know. I think some thoughts.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think one of the things that when people discuss cancel culture, it has become such a vague and this nebulous idea that nobody really knows what it is. They're just using it to, but if it's something that they don't like.
Yeah.
For example, the situation with Gina and Star Wars, that wasn't cancel culture. Mm-hmm. She was being anti-Semitic. So
she earned it.
Yeah. So you can't say it's cancel culture when she is being anti-Semitic. Yeah. That's a big difference. But you have people that are backing her saying, well, that's just cancel culture, trying to tell her, like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a bigot, and the man he's trying to support her because he's caught up in the same situations that she's caught in. So you can't say cancel culture just because she likes Trump, so they're trying to shut her up. No, she was being anti-Semitic. Same thing with the nutcase in Congress who keeps wearing the they're silencing me masks. You're on global television, going on interviews on a regular basis. No one is silencing you. So why are you wearing a mask? What's her name? Marjorie Green, I think it is, or
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, she's not being silenced at all. She's saying bigoted, racist things, and she should be quiet about saying those bigoted, racist things, and everybody should condemn her for those things. But no, she likes Trump, so we got to be okay with it. No, that's the part that gets me about the idea of cancel culture. You've got
like I said, I agree with you that sometimes it's not really cancel culture. By the way, coming back to Meghan, apparently yesterday the Buckingham Palace announced that it was going to be investigating claims from staff members that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, had bullied two personal assistants and humiliated a third person on her former royal staff. So this was ahead of both Markle and Prince Harry's televised interview with Oprah Winfrey, which is set to air on March 7th. But there are apparently these claims of folks that are saying that they were, probably chastised for things that they didn't do in their employment. And I don't know if that's really bullying.
Well, and to be honest, like, again, it does go back to like how you, I guess, interpret things. And also, I 100% believe that at some point you may have to take into account sexism and racism. So let's just throw that out there. It's just stupid because they don't say that crap about men often. So, I mean, you have royals, like male royals, doing illegal things, and that's just kind of pushed under the rug, even when it's not. It's like, oh, but boys will be boys, and oh my gosh, look at what's going on here, but boys will be boys. And then you get Meghan Markle, who's just her own person, and she's strong. Maybe she does piss people off, but she's just a strong woman, and suddenly that's a lot worse than a lot of other stuff allegedly going on. I'm not here for it.
John McEnroe is a god in tennis. Venus. Who is? John McEnroe is a god in tennis. Serena has gotten mad and emotional, no different than John McEnroe. But
Right.
yet, look at what she goes through. There was a young lady who threw her tennis racket down, and they stated, "Oh wow, she's wrapped up in the times," and the whole commentary about her was completely different than when Serena threw her racket down or crushed her racket. Why? The only difference was one was white, one was black. And it's
Right.
sad, but that's our reality that we live in. But until, and Carrie, you're spot on. Until we call it, until we understand that and we are honest with each other about that, it's just going to go on. And it's sad that it is.
Yeah. And cancel culture, the reason why there is like that whole thing, it's like you said, like Gina, Star Wars, she deserved that. She earned it. It's not taking responsibility for the social responsibility you take on when you are in a certain role. And sometimes just even in life, but we know more about people who are influencers, actors, politicians. They have the more influence, they have more of a social responsibility, and their lack of taking that as serious or having ownership over it, that's what needs to be called up on the carpet. It's not, oh, I don't like you, I'm going to cancel you. No, that is a gaslighting. That's just a gaslight tactic. What really is going on is people aren't responsible for being socially responsible, and that needs to be called on the carpet.
No, I thoroughly agree with you on that. That absolutely must get called on the carpet. And I agree with both of you that a lot of this other stuff is nonsense. And, definitely there's a lot of not just the racism, but the sexism that's out there as well. I don't know. We're still dealing with the impacts of what Tiger did. Now, if some women athletes have done half of what Tiger did, or what even some of our other athletes have done, they would not even get half of the, I won't say like escape clause, for lack of a better term, because they're athletes. So definitely, I think that a lot of times we have to deal with the sexism that exists in the sports and the entertainment world as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, who was it? The old saying. And Mark, you grew up with it, and Kara, I'm sure you grew up with it too. Going through school, if you're a guy and you sleep with a lot of women, you're considered cool. If you're a woman and you sleep with a lot of men, you're considered a hoe.
Or if you go through school and you don't date, then you're considered a lesbian.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very much true, and that's still very much true. The whole nerd thing.
I'm not interested in anyone. The gene pool is not intriguing. Just gonna wait till college. But there is like this double standard, because if a guy decided not to date in high school, he wouldn't be like, oh, he must be gay. Maybe, but it's more like pressurized with women.
Oh no, but part of that pressure comes to something that Jacoby said he's not all that big on, and I would argue I'm not all that big on it either, because I consider myself more spiritual than religious. But part of that comes back to that whole attitude of the double standards that are practiced in the church. That's part of the reason I'm not a big fan of established churches, because a lot of them, and I don't care what their denominations are, have this attitude of how they treat their women congregation members versus how they treat their male congregation members. And a lot of that is just kind of what you just said. If a woman goes to divorce, or they go through a number of other things, they're treated one way by the church and church society. And if the male does it, they're treated a whole other way. As a matter of fact, even within the church, there's that kind of encouragement of sow as many wild seeds as you can by your church members and everything that are fellow males. And then there's like the women trying to be pure as driven snow. And we know that both of those are fictional elements.
I mean, think about how women are depicted within the Bible. They're subservient to men.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting with, like, I guess I agree with that 100%. The stereotypes and double standards, and we should act this way because Jesus, which is completely backwards. Because a lot of times it's not what Jesus would do. But I guess in my own just experience and relationship, it's like I'm here for me and Jesus, nobody else. Don't mess with my vibe. Don't mess with it, you know?
I thoroughly agree with you, and that's my attitude as well. Everybody should kind of like
put a hex on yourself in some way, some religious hex. Bad juju.
Very true. Hey, Jacoby, what is this game we're playing? I'm actually kind of digging it, and it's actually kind of fun going around in this tunnel that we're in and everything with this animal that looks not quite like a duck, but he just looked at me as if to say, I am not a duck. I don't know what I am, but I know I'm not a duck. So what is this game and what is this critter?
So this is Mission to Ziglatone. You're an alien, and you're just trying to get back to the surface to get to your spaceship because you have a mission. And if you don't complete it, then you are kicked out of the alien covenant, basically.
Wow.
So this explains a lot about Durham, Jacoby, because and Carol would not know this, but in Durham and in parts around the Research Triangle Park, there are a lot of geese around, and we're always trying to figure out why they're here and what they're doing and everything. So what this game has proven to us is that those geese are really aliens. So they're really aliens from another planet, and they're trying to get back to their respective home is what this game is trying to tell us. Is that correct?
I guess so. I mean, they're Canadian geese.
That's true. They are Canadian geese.
The thing is, they look like cartoon versions of a dodo bird, which
they do.
That's actually what Jahan just said. It looks like a dodo bird.
Jahan, whoever you are, you're awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Oh yeah, you didn't, Jahan?
Yeah, he was here. He was here last week. Oh,
yeah.
But he was here after.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had left already because it was.
Oh, hi. Yes, sorry. Sorry, I'm a jerk. Hi, how are you?
Well, he came on like right after you got. I'm gonna see if he'll come on again. Jahan's a good guy. Really good guy.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, you had missed.
It was last week.
Oh, I did just miss him. Not the Sony guy, but okay. So Jahan was last week.
Yes.
Okay.
Last week, and you missed him because you had just left. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, yeah, nice to know you exist. And please join us. I want to meet you.
He's good people. He's very good people. And like I said, well, Jacoby's only got good company with his friend circle and everything because that was my first time meeting Siren the last time, and she was very impressive as well.
Yep, Siren. Yep, Siren's awesome. She's on the intro screen, so she's a regular now. So hopefully she'll be back again next week. She had a prior commitment this week, so.
I really do feel like a cool kid that I'm on an intro. On your intro. We're so cool, Mark.
Yeah, no, we're among the cool kids now. I was never a cool kid when I was in college back in those ice ages and everything. As a matter of fact, the cool kids kind of avoided me. So I'm now among the cool kids. Thank you, Jacoby. I'm glad to be among the cool kids.
Mark, you've always been a cool kid.
I thought so, but apparently the folks at John Graham High School did not think so. But what did they know?
They know nothing.
I missed that one again.
So,
but yeah, this is one side scroller.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, here goes Jahan. Jahan made it.
Hey, what's going on?
He made it.
Hi, nice to meet you, Jahan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Jahan.
I'm doing fine. Hey, what's going on?
Doing good. I remember you from last time. We were just kicking it and having a general life conversation. Jacoby likes to have those on the show as well. So We're just having a general life conversation, and right now we're watching side scroller games with the dodo bird that Jacoby claims is an alien.
It is. This is another one of the side scrollers that I found. I've gone through some of the Steam games and found a whole bunch of free side scrollers. Yeah, this is another one that's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, there's
So,
a ton of them now.
Huh?
There's a ton of them though. There's a lot of them. Like that that really tried to like pay homage to the old school style of side scrolling.
Yep.
You know,
like this one is there's one. I don't know if you saw Ghosts and DJs. That's a side scroller. It's Ghosts and Ghouls, but just has DJs in there, and it's actually pretty cool. I'll bring that one up in a little bit, but this one is another one that goes back to Pixel times.
As a radio DJ, I'm confused. Are the ghosts the DJs, or are the ghosts attacking the DJs? Because you know DJs don't like to be attacked, and we really don't like ghosts because they kind of interrupt the party.
Oh, it fell off. Well, you're actually a DJ, and you're trying to sell your album, and well, it's not sell your album. It's now I got to bring that one up first. Because that one's actually pretty funny. It pokes fun at the music of today, in a sense.
Listen to my mixtape.
Yeah,
that's usually the line of the century.
But this one's actually pretty funny.
Hey, Jahan, we were talking about cool kids, and I was not the cool kid in high school. So were you the cool kid in high school? Me and Cara have decided we were not the cool kids.
Oh, definitely not. I was the weird one. I was very weird. I it was just like, you know, you have certain individual kids, like, you know, who just had like a hard time trying to explain themselves, I guess, in a sense, you know. So it's just like everything that you try to do kind of like failed because it's like people didn't understand you. So it just really made you kind of like the odd one out. So I was just like into a lot of things, you know. I was more like, even like at a younger age, I was into like photography, and a lot of people thought it was weird. So that was the main thing. Like I used to love taking pictures, which is crazy now because I hate taking pictures now. But I think that kind of like took me out of my funk because of that, you know. But I did love. I definitely love.
Good.
Yeah. Aww. It happens, like especially with kids, like they will have. As a young kid, you always will find a random passion, and sometimes parents also don't really pay attention to that too, because you know that's something that is very important. Because if a kid finds like a passion in something, you will want to help them kind of further into it, because they'll be more than willing to do it more than anything else. So my first love was like photography. I used to love taking pictures. Used to go outside and take pictures of like, you know, just, you know, anything, you know.
Right.
So but yeah, I kind of like stopped doing that. I actually really would love to get back into it, honestly, but I don't know. It's very weird at this point for me right now. Because like
get back into it. You should get back into it. You can even use your camera phone. I know I'll sometimes go out and use my camera phone to get some pretty good pictures and upload them into the computer. So with technology, you can definitely get back into it, even just using the simplicity of the camera phone. So I think you should definitely get back into it. I know my dad, who's in his early 80s, is still doing photography. So it's definitely something that you can do no matter what your age is. So I think you should definitely try to jump back into it. Jacoby, what is he just brought up something about kids and everything, and I know we might have brought this up in the show before, but what games have you gotten your kids into, or what games have they gotten you into might be the better question. But what is like their favorite video games? They know that their dad is video game king and everything, but what are their go-to games, both the son and the daughter?
Well, so for kids, because there's the other program that I'm doing with the at-risk youth with the Durham PD. Kids are big into pretty much everything. Truthfully, Roblox, Minecraft dominate the kids market. It matter of fact dominates the adult market some too, because Minecraft is still one of the most played games across the globe. But Minecraft, Roblox, Among Us, Fortnite. Then you have the random games that you'll find on Steam. So yeah, you're not going to get a bunch of kids that are going to be playing like your Grand Theft Autos and so on and so forth, even though there are kids that play it. You're not going to get you got Warzone and that some kids play, but of course some parents won't allow those kids to play it. You've got PUBG and all the other games out there. But yeah, what dominates the kids market is Roblox and Minecraft.
Gotcha. And is that the two that your personal kids enjoy as well, or do they have a personal favorite of their own?
Roblox and Minecraft are what Layla plays. Bennett doesn't really play much. He'll watch the videos and everything else on YouTube. And that's another thing. That's what kids are big into are the YouTubers and the they'll sit there for days and watch somebody play whatever's out there. Ooh, drop some lightning.
So going back, real quick, Jahan, you saying you want to go back to photography, but you really don't know. It's a weird space for you. That used to be the same for me with writing. I loved writing when I was in middle school and high school. I wanted to be a writer, and then just, things happened and I just was like, no. And I didn't write for 10 years, like nothing. And I was like ashamed of it. And you couldn't make me write anything except for like the bare minimum paper, right, in college. So when I began writing, and now I love it because I do a lot of my podcast episodes, I write the scripts out. And, even when I journal my thoughts, they're like little short stories and like little chapters. And I love it. It makes me happy, but it took me such a long time to get back to that place. And what would really help me was I would write a little bit. And before I could just hate on myself for it, because I knew it just wasn't what I wanted it to be, I would say, this is a good start. And then put it away. And then go back a little later and read it and be like, I guess it wasn't a bad start. It was good. It's not my best, but let me try again. So maybe that can help you with your photography. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've thought about it because it's always been something that I was into, and I know a lot of friends who are really into photography now because I'm also in the esports market when I go to events and stuff like that. So I know a majority of the photographers. So I have talked with a couple of them, especially like I would try to get some ideas like what is a good starting point, like what camera I should get just to start off with, So again, that's something, obviously right now, like I didn't have any interest in it because of, the current situation right now with COVID. But definitely, I guess when things start to pick up again, like I would definitely start trying to do, get back into photography.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just right now, like I'm just not really, into like trying to do photography at this point right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I live downtown in Cincinnati, and so it's just easy to just kind of walk everywhere. And like a friend of mine and I will socially distant walk. We'll like kind of stay apart with our little mask, and then we'll I'll be like, okay, stay over there, take off your mask, and I'm gonna take pictures. And so we'll do little impromptu photo shoots of each other. And it's cute. It's a fun little activity because of the pandemic, And it's like you find little angles and learn little settings, and it's kind of fun.
So got to get more people doing that and everything as we're getting more and more out. Because I know today here in Durham it's like 64 degrees. So, Jacoby, is the dog at the dog park?
No, he's at camp.
I mean, dog camp. That's what I meant. The dog camp.
Oh yeah. Makes my life so much easier with everybody in school and having to do stuff at home. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier that way. But yeah,
Mine's
by the way,
always
that's
sulking on the couch.
Not sulking. What is Rita doing? The cat.
I don't know. I think she's upstairs, like laying in the sunshine.
She's sunbathing.
very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. By the way, Kara, I showed you Neon Beats too, didn't I?
Yes, and I want to play it, but I have a Google Chromebook, so it won't let me play anything because I need a PC.
There are some games on Steam that work on the Chromebook, so you may want to check on the Steam library and see if let me see if, for example, if this one goes.
Yeah, are there any get arounds to that? Because I also have, well, this is my regular laptop, but I do have a Chromebook as well. And I do know that she is absolutely right. There are some games that do not let you upload them, download them, or have any fun with them because of whatever access things that Chromebook has. So do you know of any get arounds that we can tell our folks about that are able to get around those limitations? Either you or John.
I mean, there are, but there are emulators and all this other stuff.
I mean, there's emulators and stuff, but also too, like nowadays with the games, you have to have like a kind of like a high performance kind of like desktop laptop, in order to play some of the majority of the games. Like for me, like I have so funny enough, I had this MSI laptop. I'll show you. I had this MSI laptop for like nearly 3 years, and it's still able to kind of like allow me to play some of the current and new games. I think some of the games that I cannot play is like PUBG, because I think currently, right, I don't know what game is that has like a high Jacoby, what am I trying to? It's like a high like like data, right? Am I saying this correctly?
High resolution?
No.
Are you
It's
talking about
like
your RAM?
Yeah, the RAM, exactly. Sorry.
Okay.
So like, PUBG has like a high RAM usage. So it's like it'll kind of like overheat your like laptop, desktop very quickly. And if like computer notices that, like it can't handle it, it'll just shut off automatically.
Right.
So that's the main reason why now most people are getting, like a lot of people are getting custom computers. Like I started to realize, like I look at my social media, a lot of people are just getting everything customized because they want to be able to play all the current, games that's coming out right now, or that's playable now.
The big thing is, I mean, especially with a lot of the big time games, you're going to look at a big video card, and that those video cards, that's what's drawing your video card, and your CPU are going to be drawing a lot of power and a lot of heat. And so a lot of the people, are doing a lot more looking for, like right now, nobody can buy the recently released NVIDIA cards, the 3060, which got announced and was supposed to be released months back, but can't be found because also that same NVIDIA card is being used for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and also the series with the other series that came out too, which those cannot be found as well because the production and the COVID and everything else caused an issue. So you have these NVIDIA cards that are the powerhouse behind these new game systems, which I think it was Sean that was telling everybody about this last time. But yes, it's not PlayStation's fault. It's not Xbox's fault or Microsoft's fault. Right now, it's just that the card is so backed up because, again, if you want to play these high-end games, you need that nice card. Technically, you can get by. I've got a 2060 Super NVIDIA card. That one works just fine to run a bunch of the high-end games. It won't run all the new ray tracing. That's what everybody's going crazy about, is that, you can get these reflections and the you can see through windows on the video game and get the single hint of reflection back off, and the destruction, because it breaks down the actual so the way I think we talked about this before as well, but the way a lot of these games are built, they're built with triangles. Like all the characters, they're all built on polygons and they're built in triangles, and how far you can break down that. So if you put a square out there, can that square be broken down to just 2 right triangles? Or now can you break it down to 4 triangles? Or can now you break it down to a few more triangles to make that destruction happen rather than just, and the more you break it down, not only the more power does it use for that video, or does it take for that video card to process that, it also takes a little bit more for your RAM and a better processor to understand, okay, I'm breaking this down. This right here, this one marker down to different points. And now it has to, trying to think of ways to describe it that are easy to understand. But yeah, you have to take like a piece of paper. We'll do it that way. Yeah, that works.
Okay.
So for example, if you take this sticky note, if you take this square sticky note and you cut it, right? Even though I'm just going to fold it, but say you cut it. Now you got 2. Now that computer has to keep track of this one and keep track of the other one. And it has to understand that is this facing you? Is this flat? Is this facing away from you where the light hits it? It also has to do the same thing with this one. So the computer has to understand by the amount of data that it's putting in there. So then you fold it again. Now I have 4. Now the computer has to maintain the understanding of where that triangle is, where this other triangle is, where this other triangle is, and where this other triangle is when it breaks apart. So if something were to hit it and it splits into 4, how, according to physics, how do those triangles break apart and separate and fly through the air? How does the light hit it? How does the sound that you refract off of it? Now you break it, you fold it again. Now you've got 8. Now there's more detail on that break than there was if you just had 4. Now you got to track that as well. So the video card is doing a lot of that processing. And the more it breaks down, the more things that the computer and the video card have to keep track of and has to understand. And that's what the high-end games are doing is it's breaking down piece by piece by piece. Let me see if I can bring this up. I'll show you this. This is the
Toby's like a kid in the candy store. He's just having way too much fun.
Toby's like science.
Yes.
So this was what Unreal released.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, art director.
So this is talking about how the engine itself
Years ago,
runs.
we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were 2 key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination, beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static. And I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
And we call this new system Lumen. We're as capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward, truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. We could directly use film quality assets.
So for example, how he's talking about poly counts, what he's talking about is what I was just saying, how the computer has to keep track of those. So the more polygons you have, the more the computer has to keep track of. So you have, if it's keeping track of 1 million polygons, that's a lot for the computer if you don't have an upgraded computer to keep track of. Well, I mean, 1 billion polygons and all this other stuff and how it's flipping and breaks apart. So that's how it breaks down. And that's
them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data, without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit.
Yep, I'm just gonna have to get a bigger computer. It's just that simple. I'm gonna have to get a better computer
if
and
you're
something
gonna
that can actually load some better games and everything of that nature. But that's not gonna happen anytime soon. And I think that
Awesome. Let's take a
Kara's gonna have to go and find a way to get Henry and Rita to help her with the programming because they need to give some help. Those pets of her need to get some jobs.
So if you look at her face, for example, that's all. Those are the polygons. That's
Wow.
so that's how the computer has to keep track of those polygons, how they react to one another, because they're all points. For example, in this fold, and they're probably going to say it right here too as well, because this is pretty cool.
So roughly how many polygons are in a face? I'm imagining that's a whole lot because that was a very realistic looking face.
It depends on.
Let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo.
It depends on what you told me.
So they're about to tell you.
Assets. But instead of using the game versions, we use the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each. And thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What
So that's your answer.
look like?
Oh, that's a whole lot of them.
Noise. These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel, which means triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic. With the power of Lumen that even includes multi-bounce global illumination.
So what they're trying to tell you right there, for example, in the gaming world, or how the game is being broke down, like the triangles themselves are, I mean, they explain that, you've got all these triangles just on one rock, for example, but all through those rocks are all throughout the whole cavern. And you're talking about billions of triangles. And the way this new game engine, or the way that it's coding, and this is where the powerhouse of the PC has to come into play. It has to understand that coding and what it's trying to tell the computer. And the way lighting was normally done is lighting didn't break. If you think about outside, if you, or like this window here, right behind me, the lighting itself is dynamic. It bounces off of different items within the room. If I move something in front of it, its shadow is on that or the light hits that item and goes different areas. Lighting in video games was not done that way before. Lighting now, because of the power of the PC and everything being upgraded, that's how lighting is going to be done in the future, is that it's going to be able to interact more with the environment than it could before, and interact with those polygons, because the polygons themselves are now super tiny, that you're not really seeing the polygons, you're seeing it as a pixel now, but they're super tiny. And the computer is now going to be able to have the light react with that polygon better than ever before. And that's, like I said, that's a quick breakdown, or trying to do a layman's breakdown of what's actually happening now with the computers, and why the video cards need to be upgraded so much, and the PCs need to be upgraded so much, just to do the amount of detail that's within these.
Wow.
It's like a movie. Like,
yeah,
you're in control of a movie and a video game.
Yep. And see, now you're not, so the light itself is just reacting with the environment completely different than it ever before. And yeah, it is like a movie. That's why, I mean, that's kind of why they went this route.
Convolution reverb allows us to
No, nice jump. Oh, they missed. I thought they had it.
Like actual caves that we sampled, and
we
them in virtual space.
Jacoby, do you ever think that we'll get to the point, and I may have asked you this on a previous episode, but I know a lot of it has to do with the cost, and this is actually also for Jahan as well, but how far away do you think we are from the point where we'll be able to have our own virtual reality sets where you can literally be in the movie yourself and kind of like having that total experience of total immersion within the video game. I know that those sets are still not exactly overly cheap right now, but I imagine that, what do you think, 5-10 years from now, or even sooner than that, before we'll be at a point that we'll have them at a market rate?
Are you talking about like the VR headsets that really?
The VR headsets, right?
I mean, they're out there now. I mean, you can, like the Quest 2 that I have. I mean, it definitely puts you within the game. Plus, then if you were to order they have vests that go along with the vests and gloves. Right now, they're in the Oculus Quest. I don't have to buy any upgrade. I can actually, it can be programmed based on the sensors that are within the machine itself to track my hands. So I don't actually have a controller in my hand. I can actually track my hands. However, there are gloves and vests that I could order along where I could actually have a tactile feel of, okay, well, there's wind blowing on me now, right, and I can feel that. So I mean, technically it's there now. I don't put it. Give me like 5 years and the stuff is going to be smaller. Microsoft just released an upgrade. I can't remember the name of it right now, but to go with their HoloLens and their HoloLens 2 and a few of some other devices, but it's basically you can have virtual meetings. You can have true virtual meetings where people are wearing another one in another area. And similar to, well, not looking like, but similar to like Kingsman, how they all, or James Bond movies, or even Star Wars, where you have this, 3D image on the HoloLens itself for AR purposes. Yeah, sitting in a chair or standing up beside you, and you're looking at a globe, and they're looking at the same globe, and you guys are talking. So I mean, 5 years, 10 years, you'll be blown away. But 5 years, yeah, I don't doubt within the next few years, to 5 years, you're gonna have a ton of stuff, because the programming is before it used to be the hardware was so advanced, the software couldn't keep up. Now it's the software is so advanced, the hardware is trying to keep up. Well, it's even playing field, but not so far. But yes, the software, like this software, is billions of triangles. Older computers aren't going to be able to handle it, but they can do a lot of stuff now.
Cool.
That is so amazing. Like when she was in the cave earlier and she was walking like in the water, that was just beyond. That was insane to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, what Jacoby said is, he's right. Like, the technology is there. It's just like they have to find the right balance to kind of like appreciate each other to a point where you can get like that full experience from augmented reality. I mean, there's stuff out there, but it's not as interesting as you playing a regular game on a console.
Right.
Because there's obviously more people are more interested in just rather playing on a console. So the experience is not there yet for people to kind of like want to just use like a VR system over just playing on a TV,
Yeah.
So I mean, there are people who are interested in it. Obviously, they're invested in it. Like, they're like, oh, okay, I like this. They're interested in it, but it's not like a vast majority of people are, using AR right now. But it's gonna get there. So it's gonna be, like what Jotovi said, it might be 5 to 10 years, depending. Like, shoot, we've been asking about flying cars for God knows how long. So I think things take time and finding the right formula. Or they might be holding on to technology. Even they never know. It might be a money thing. So there's a lot of things we don't know about what that might come about, but we feel like it most likely will come sooner or later.
Now that makes a lot of sense. I know that on another call that I was part of earlier today, they were talking about how even the some of the construction industries are actually doing this kind of VR thing. Because one of the gentlemen was talking about that there's even a whole program where there's a And I think it's something that just recently came out where there's basically folks that are able to maintain and operate the entire forklift without a forklift operator. So everything is being totally remotely controlled, the entire forklift in the construction site.
Us to seek out others who feel
This is what I was talking about, the Microsoft Mesh that got announced. And this was just announced a few days ago.
Input the data and we'll take a look together. Hey, Mari, what you got for me?
to find those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
And what they're wearing is the HoloLens. But see, this is supposed to be the technology that they're working on right now. But you got to realize when it hits this market, when they're starting to advertise for it, this has been in like 10 years in the making. So if you're thinking about 5 years down the road, what you're going to see, you have to imagine this is a starting point 10 years ago. So
Place this here. Let's see how
I mean, this is nuts, but this is where we're going.
And the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna move it slightly, okay?
It's yours, take it.
Like
so I guess the extreme of that could be a point of time where everything is virtual reality. So do you ever worry about that aspect of it, just being in it, Jacoby, where like literally the basketball game is virtual reality instead of the basketball players playing the game the way that we know it now and have known it for 100 and something years?
I have said all along that it's, I mean, at some point things are going to change, but right now, esports and gaming and all that stuff is really taking over the market because everybody can play. I mean, Jahan can attest to it. He knows some of the top players in Street Fighter and everywhere else. He can play those people. I can't play LeBron James. I can't go and play against Ocho Cinco or Russell Wilson or somebody like that. I can't play against those guys. But I can go and play against a top Rocket League player. I can go and play against a top Street Fighter player or whoever else. Even though I stink, I can still play them. And that's why I think, you know, the gaming market itself is just, it's in the process of taking over a ton of spaces. And at some point it'll change. And yes, sports, I don't think will ever die, or the traditional sports, I don't think will ever die or go away. But I think the gaming market itself, just because of the amount of participation that you can have on just a Rocket League game, I mean, when it went free to play, you can load on to Rocket League right now and you can find, you know, easily 600,000 to 1 million people playing just right now.
That's crazy.
For example,
like with
let's see, it'll pull up in just a second.
Well, it pulls up what we get ready to say, Jahan.
No, I was saying, you know, with the esports market, again, it's so premature, right? But it's doing so well. But also too, like from experience, like I've gone to events and stuff like that, and there's a lot of top players, and you don't get the same, like, you know, how traditional sports you'll have like meet and greets and stuff like that. Like sometimes with esports, they don't really do it as much unless you like a really big team, like kind of like Evil Geniuses and stuff like that. They'll obviously have meet and greets at like, you know, conventions and stuff like that. But it's not as much as it is with sports, you know, like you can be able to meet with people and have that one-on-one. But the thing about with esports, you can enter a tournament and like Jotovi said, you could be right next to the actual best player in the world and get an opportunity to play them. And even sometimes too, not even in tournament, some of them have been nice enough to actually play some casual sets. Like you can actually say, hey, you know, you don't mind playing like a 1st to 5 with me. And some of them would be interested in doing that. Like they don't mind playing other people. So, you know, I guess this experience is when it comes to traditional esports it's similar but different. You know, you could get more of a better interaction and also you know, there are fans. There are actually fans. There are people who actually like, have posters of players and want them to sign their autographs. So it's the same. It's the same concept. I just think that with esports, it's more exciting, because it's like it's an ongoing, event, especially when they're like 2 to 3 days. With sports, you're only going one day, right? So like, let's say if I'm going to an NBA game, it's only one night and it's only like 3 hours. When you go to a video game tournament, it's like literally a weekend, right? You're in a weekend in a hotel or a convention center, and you're there for like 3 days. So you get like ample opportunities, kind of like meet people that you admire, or your favorite YouTuber or your Twitch streamer. You can meet them in person and have conversations. So I just think that like the fan experience is way much better than it is with traditional sports.
And if you look right there, for example, like I said, Rocket League on just the regular play setup, there are 1,044,745 players online at this moment.
Wow.
1 million people playing this game right now. So it's just one of those things with it's I bet you right now you cannot go outside and find 1 million players playing basketball or playing football or playing baseball. Even though baseball's about to start, you don't have this kind of ease of access to play these games. It's just not there. And just like Jahan was saying, the interaction. I mean, these streamers and everything else that people fall in love with. There's the number 15th streamer right now. He has 7.3 million followers, named XQCOW. Wow. He's got 7.3 million followers. And you know what he does is he goes on Twitch. He interacts with those followers. It's something that you can't do with the baseball players or with the football players. So you're already hooked as a fan. And now because he's playing those games, you know what I want to do? I want to play with him now. So you know what I'm going to pick up? I'm going to pick up either what game is he running? He's doing a just chatting session, does some other games. He does Overwatch. So you know what I'm going to go play now if I'm one of his 7.3 million followers is Overwatch.
Doesn't Siren love Overwatch?
Yeah, actually, Siren and I were going to play either Overwatch this week or Paladins or one of the games. I stink at them all, but they're just fun to play. But again, it boils back. It goes back to the fact that again, with the esports world, the video game market is so accessible it's much more accessible to everyone than with traditional sports, because traditional sports, you have that kid who may not be the most athletic. Well, you know what? He can dominate any game he wants to on the computer.
Yep.
And play with any and the same thing with LeBron could be the baddest player on the planet playing basketball. He also could be really good at playing PUBG or playing Fortnite. So he has that ability to play both and end up playing one of his fans. So it's just
awesome. It's I love the fact that it tells you how many people are playing online. It's like if you were to pick up your toothbrush and it was like an electric toothbrush and you turned it on and it said 37 million people brushing their teeth right now. Like it's like that connectivity feel, like, oh, like we're all doing something, like we're all doing the same thing. It's like a, connection. And that's like a weird example, but it's very.
No, that was a great example. I love that example.
As long as those 37 million people aren't using that same toothbrush, but
yeah, we don't want to use it the same.
Of course, you would go there, Jatobi.
Well,
hey, yeah, but everybody. Like on here, they're not using the same console or the same computer, right? Yeah.
So, and the cool part about even your example is the fact that that's the way as human beings, I mean, truthfully, we're not solo human beings. We are not isolated creatures or creatures that want isolation. No, we love the interaction. No matter how much we say I hate, I don't want to be, I want to be alone. I don't like people and all this. Deep down, I mean, and I don't know, Carrie, you can correct me on this, but you don't want to be on an island with the Wilson ball with your hand plant, just like what was it, the Tom Hanks movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do that. You want to have somebody there to talk to.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
but if I had Wilson and somehow Wilson had a button and I was stranded on an island and Wilson had a button and it said 5 other people in your same situation, I wouldn't feel as alone.
Yeah.
I'd be like, where are these people? We're alone on an island together, but not.
Like, hey, you may have come up with a whole business model. I was actually thinking of your toothpaste example, and we just got to find the computer people that want to do it, but some way to plug in the gaming world technology into everything from the toothpaste to the shower to the microwave. You literally can turn on your microwave, and it could be like 1 billion people are using the microwave right now at the same time and everything. So, like I said, y'all are not cooking the same thing, but this could be a whole new business model. But one of the things I was going to ask both Jahan and because I agree that a lot of times you might want to meet the entertainer and or the athlete, and they're not as accessible. But we do know that a lot of the entertainers and the athletes also do a lot of video game playing as well. So I was just wondering, have you ever had the opportunity, or have you ever stumbled across either an entertainer or a celebrity that you knew was that entertainer or celebrity because they revealed themselves while you've been doing video games? Because I do know that there are a number of athletes and various types of entertainers that are into the video game world. So I was just wondering if you've ever had that experience of your own.
In the fighting game market is it's weird because a lot of people don't really respect the fighting game market, like the genre itself, but it's overly popular in a sense. I think that it brings a lot to the table to where like it comes to like entertainment value. I think it's like easy to watch because obviously it's just one-on-one people going at it, and obviously you have the life bars, and those concepts are easy to kind of like digest. For any parent who's like trying to watch Fortnite or anything like that, like they'll probably get easy lost into it. So that's the reason why like fighting games is so popular amongst a lot of people. The amount of celebrities that we had in the fighting game market, to name a few, and surprisingly, there's a lot well-known names. Lupe Fiasco was a very big into the fighting game market. He actually helped out do a event with Street Fighter V, if I'm not mistaken. He helped out with that. 2 professional wrestlers that are well known in the wrestling world. Kenny Omega, who is part of AEW. He's been a really big figure in that because he was wrestling in Japan at one point, and of course, Japan is like the mecca when it comes to video games. So he kind of like jumped into the scene when he was invited to one of the tournaments, and that actually helped him out with his career as well. On top of that, like gaining new access to fans. So it's crazy how like that kind of like put 2 and 2 together, and it helped out in his career as well. Xavier Woods too is another one from WWE. He has his own stream called Up Up Down Down, and he's been well known in the community, going to conventions. But he's been very vocal in the fighting game market as well. Jamie Lee Curtis actually made a surprise visit to one of the biggest tournaments in Las Vegas. She brought her son, and she's been actively going every year to this tournament. So she's been part of the fighting game community as well. She actually dressed up as Vega, and that was the thing. Like, we didn't know she was there, so she dressed up as one of the fighting game characters. You could definitely look this up too, and we were surprised. So it's not like saying like it's getting a lot of attention. I mean, it's always been there. It's just like it's just like it's people are starting to take notice. Like, a lot of the celebrities are wanting to get to be part of the fighting game market. Like they really want to. They see how great it is, how the community interacts with each other. We treat everyone just like everyone else. We're not starstruck, So even when they come, I mean, obviously we were asked to take pictures because we're shocked that they come to our tournaments, but we're not like one of those obsessed fans where like we're all over them and make them feel uncomfortable to where they don't want to come back. So we're a very welcoming community. So that's the main reason why I would say, fighting game market can really become like a premier genre to help really put esports like really out there. Right now it's just only LOL and all these other games, because a lot of people put a lot of money into it. But guarantee if someone really invested in like putting like this big massive fighting game league, I think that it could definitely, really put fighting game out there, like make it like the mainstream,
I mean, fighting games definitely are a phenomenal part. I think fighting games run similar to boxing in the sports world, though. That's only boxing and MMA. I mean, they're going to dominate with money, and they aren't going to dominate the sports world or the esports world. But with money, they'll definitely last forever. I mean, it's the reason I think that the LOLs and the Rocket Leagues and the Dotas and all the other stuff is because that's the PC market. The PC market dominates. There's nothing stopping LOL or Dota 2. As a matter of fact, there's a Epic just released this. What is this? The Primordial Battle of the Gods. That's another version of LOL. It really is. And I mean, once you know how the market works, if they find something that's making money, a lot of other companies are going to follow down there. Because I mean, remember Virtual Fighter? Virtual Fighter was the bomb when it came out. Yeah, but then Tekken came on the back end of it.
Jacoby, I know you asked last week about the Star Trek and why there's no security cameras there. So I've actually got a question, somewhat related to Star Trek and everything. But how tied
you already butchered it, Mark? No, Star Trek and Star Wars are different.
Yeah, you know what I meant. I got the games mixed. I got it mixed up with everything. But you know what? They know what I meant. They watched the past episode. But the question is, how big is the connection between video games and the world of cosplay? Because I know that you've done some cosplay announcing, and I've oftentimes wondered how big those connections are between the two.
It's the same connection with comic books and cosplay, movies and cosplay. You find a character in the game you love, and that's the character that you want to be. I mean, that's character. Because remember earlier we were talking about how what was it about being confident in oneself and all this other stuff. When you are that character, you take on that character's confidence. People, Jahan, when people go to the shows and everything, and they love Sagat.
They dress up as Sagat.
So
and you'd be surprised,
it's just they take on who that character is. If they take on Ryu, they're not the big and bold and baddest people yelling out there. Those are people who are playing Ken or Sagat, who fight similar, but they're louder because that's who that character is. That's me. I am this character. So in cosplay and video gaming, yeah, you can be a night elf. Night elves from World of Warcraft. You have tons of people that dress up like that. Matter of fact,
I feel like I'm a night elf in real life. I don't know what they are, but I feel like I'm already one.
Elves are the greatest.
Yeah,
elves are super cool.
I feel it.
But yeah, I mean, it's just you feel a kinship with the character that you fall in love with in a video game, the same way you feel a kinship to a character that you fall in love with a comic book or a movie. It's no different. And then you begin to build that rapport, that internal rapport with that character. You believe you are that character at these certain occasions, and you want to show that inside of you that you have this confidence. It's a great thing. I mean, it truly is. And I admire anybody who does cosplay, because not only the talent it takes to really build that character, but to be that character, it's amazing. Some of these characters that these individuals have built look better than the characters that Marvel has done, or that Disney has done. I mean, there was a guy that came in. There's a group here. They have done characters so well that they got picked up by Star Wars. A few years back, there was a guy who did one, and he was Optimus Prime. Had the voice and everything. It was he done really well. But it's the same thing, like I said, with comic book characters. I mean, with video game characters and cosplay. It's the same. There was a dude, matter of fact, Jahan, there's a guy that did dress up as Sagat. He had the whole scar on his chest and all, and he looked great. But yeah, it's a part of that world. It is. It truly is.
Yeah. Cosplay definitely has been getting bigger and bigger every year. I go to a lot of conventions, so I see a lot of people always being innovative and, being a part of the trends, the current trends, and using those type of characters to help, their portfolio of, what characters that they portrayed. Because also too, it takes a lot of skill too, especially for those who actually make their own clothing. So, they actually, that takes a lot of artistry, to put behind the cosplay in itself. So that's what makes it very interesting, to show that you have the talent to be able to make your own clothing. Because some people actually order their stuff online, or they end up ordering it for somebody who actually makes the costume in itself, and they just put it on, and sometimes take credit for it as if they made it, but they didn't. So there's always been issues with that. But then even so, still, it's still amazing to just see people to feel comfortable in their own skin. Even if the character doesn't portray, they don't even though they don't portray the character. Because I mean, obviously, there's been issues where a black woman would portray a white character or Asian character. I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just if you have a connection with that character in that sense, go ahead, go for it. Like, just be yourself and enjoy it and have fun, and that's the whole point of it. The funny thing is, I have to explain to some people who don't understand cosplay. I just say, think of Halloween every day, right? Like, that's just pretty much at the end of the day, so they can have an understanding with that. But cosplay has been very amazing addition for people to come out, even with the kids. I've seen numerous kids. Those are the cutest ones, where the parents kind of like, fulfill like a child's dream to dress up as this particular character and go to convention with it. And those will always be the best combinations. I always see the best work when it comes to a parent and a child. Like, they always put their mind to it and make it very phenomenal to see. But yeah, like, conventions is extremely huge. And then also with gaming adding into it, it's a part of it, obviously, right? Like, people are dressing up as gaming characters or anything that's like pop culture. So, it just gives it more of a dynamic feel for it, when it comes to, again, going to conventions, seeing people with different outtakes of a character, because sometimes you'll see like one particular character, like 80 people, dress up as that character, because that's, obviously that's a very popular character at the time. So it's, it's just very interesting, different takes of it. And that's what makes cosplay very amazing.
By the way,
where is these pictures from?
This was the North Carolina Comic-Con. But this one right here was one of my favorite, because I got to run around, and so I was helping them out a little bit with a little bit of the MC stuff. But my favorite part is I got to run around because I was taking some pictures. I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And I got to start asking people, where in the world was Jesus? And guess what? Jesus is right there, because that's what he cosplayed as.
Okay.
And it's no joke. It is no joke. That is his cosplay outfit. And that's what he said he was dressed as. And he's over there looking at
dead Jesus, but not the Jesus.
Yep. And it was just funny that, yeah, he's looking at these photos.
He
That's
just
the
looks
Hannibal.
so heavenly, pun
He's
intended.
literally standing right beside the Dawn of the Dead and Hannibal, which was killing me. I'm like,
But around the corner from Captain America.
Yeah.
That's a Captain America book that he's there as well.
Oh, but yeah, that was one of it. So yeah, cosplay, like Jahan said, is huge. It's phenomenal, and it's just neat to see. There's just so many things. Like she made that
Marie Antoinette.
that whole thing. That was hers. She entered into the contest, but yeah, she made that.
Oh wow, that's
that whole outfit. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting.
And that's why I say that it's just amazing to see the amount of talent that's out there that really gets overlooked. And Kara, to go back around to the what we had talked about earlier about how being overlooked, and how the pay to play scheme and the society itself. Could you imagine if she had the amount of backing that somebody born from Tommy Hilfiger had? Or that the Kardashians had put out? Something like this would have been on the front page, and she could have had, bukus and bukus of followers. But yet she's walking around Raleigh, North Carolina at a Comic-Con, only showing it off to these individuals and whoever took a picture of her.
Yeah, it's
And
all
she could be,
about
like you said, she could be a
visibility
fashion
and who
icon.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these individuals put these things together.
Aw.
Did the rabbit put his thing together as well? Because there was a rabbit back there.
Yeah. I mean, Harry Potter.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
She had to build that.
Okay.
I mean, they built those.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, you fall in love with a character that you see in maybe an anime like she did, or a comic book or a video game. I mean, and you just become that. That's what cosplay is. That's all it is.
Yep. Definitely, like you said, Halloween every day, as well as like that whole fantasy environment and all of that. I'm actually thinking of that Kara either needs to be doing a cosplay as Xena or Wonder Woman. That's what I'm thinking, because she's got that kind of personality and everything.
I would totally cosplay as Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
So then she and I could just like whatever realm she is and the gaming world, we can just like hang out and crack jokes together.
If I remember correctly, it's the 501st Legion that got picked up by to do either their one of the functions for Star Wars for Lucasfilms. I think it was the 501st that did it. But yeah, they do some great costumes and stuff like that, or some cosplay outfits. I thought it was cool, these pillows, and so I took a picture of the pillows. But yeah, I mean, really neat stuff.
Somebody needs to cosplay as Lil Jon so we can get him on our show.
Oh, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Who is that?
Yeah.
What was that?
We're gonna cosplay as Lil Jon. Mark, you got it. You're gonna be Little John.
Oh. Yeah.
I just realized this 309.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It is about time to wrap up. We were having
Time
way too
flies.
much fun and everything, but we always have way too much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we'll go ahead and wrap everything up. Thank everybody for joining the fun here at Gamers Den again. We went on every discussion possible.
Yes, we did.
But before we wrap, as always, Jahan, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at PAG_Virgo and pretty much all platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Definitely also Play All Gaming as well. You can find on all channels. Again, we're not doing as much because I'm more concerned about my players safety during COVID. So I'd rather them just take care of themselves and cherish the time they have with their family. Because I know I had a couple of my players' family had COVID and some of them passed away. So my main concern is just their well-being and health. So hopefully we'll be getting back soon into that when everything starts to clear up.
All right. It's a great thing to do. Make sure, everybody take care of themselves. Now, Kara, tell everybody how we can find you and keep up with you.
Deep in Roots Health Coaching. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And just see the shenanigans I pull on my pages every day. And you can also find me on deepeningyourroots.com and get more information on what I do and book a call to chat with me. I love to chat. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Siren with Cedo Gaming couldn't be here today. She had a prior engagement, so we'll see her next week. Mark, what you got?
Can find me on just about all social media under Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Lee Entertainment 62. You can also find me on LinkedIn. If you go under that linkedin.com/in, that would be definitely the Blues Radio one and everything. So that's where you can find me. And of course, you can find me right here on the International Broadcast Media, where I host a variety of shows, 2 on Monday and 1 on Wednesday, and of course the Roundtable on Sunday. So that's where folks can find me, right here, as well as on the various social media outlets.
All right, cool. So I guess that's gonna close us out. Anybody got any last
wait
words?
a second, you told me they gotta know where to find you, other than Bull City Gambling, which has been going across the screen, but where else can they find you?
At home, because it's COVID times. I am staying in the house.
No, but we can't come find you in your home. That's a little
good point. But you can the easiest is always Bull City Gaming or Bull City GG on Twitch. Everything else flows from there. The Facebooks and everything else are all listed right there on Bull City GG on Twitch. So I don't really have, I do. It's been random. I'm getting all these questions for these ideas because I'm starting to watch all these crazy like Cinema Blend and these YouTube shows like different movie pitches and stuff, which are great. They're hilarious shows, but they bring up some great points. And that's where I'm getting these closeout questions from, like with the Star Wars and the video cameras. Well, this one, I was watching a pitch or watching one of the pitches or discussions that they had about Howard the Duck. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, but if you do remember that movie, how did Howard the Duck get a job in one day with no background check, and people saw him as a duck and didn't ask any questions but gave him a job? How?
Because it would ruin the storyline if they didn't. That's
a good point, Kara, but I've got a better answer. The boss that interviewed him, not the one that we saw on the TV, but the other boss, the big boss, was a duck. That's how he got the job.
Okay. You know what I say, though? Those answers are pretty foul. Yeah. All right, so we'll close it out on the bad joke. We'll see you guys next week at 1:00.